All right, we're going to finish off this review. Number 12 has two parts, part A and part B. So it says, will either of the functions whose graphs are shown below have an inverse function? This is one of those rules. And in order to have an inverse function, it must pass both the vertical and the horizontal line test. So we take a look at this guy. Does it pass the vertical line test? Yes. Does it pass the horizontal line test? Yes. So this is a yes because it passes both vertical and horizontal tests. Okay? How about this guy? Vertical line, anywhere I put a vertical line, it passes. How about a horizontal line? No. So this would be a no because it has to pass both vertical and horizontal line tests. So it fails the horizontal, if you want to get technical, the horizontal line portion of the test. Okay? And there's 12. All right. Number 13 gets a little interesting here. It gives us multiple questions. It says, let f of x be for x is greater than or equal to 4. It means that if I was to finish this drawing or the graph, it would go like this. Now, why'd they chop off this half? Because then they couldn't ask these questions because it wouldn't have an inverse function at all because it wouldn't pass the horizontal line test. That's why they cut off half of this parabola. Anyways, it says, go ahead and graph the inverse function. Well, remember what we're going to do. The strategy that I taught was to go ahead and go right, draw the y equals x line. And then one of the things I like about this is, literally the inverse function is going to take the x and the y's and just flip-a-roo if you really want to get perfectionistic. So that's 8, 7. So 0, 5, 5, 0 is right here. That would just flip right over the y equals x to 0, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This point right here is my 4, negative 1. So it would flip and be negative 1, 4. And then we just keep doing the same thing. So 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course we can see this guy right here. I drew a line through it, but my line's not perfect. But this was 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. And it should have been, and then I flip them, and I get 8, 7. So this one should have been a little above the line, and the line should have went more like this, so then it would flip over. But regardless, it's going to look like that. Ish, with a little room for error there. All right. Well, what is the domain of f of x? Well, the domain of f of x, let's go ahead and get this pretty. Remember, this is f of x. So the question is, how far left does it go? Well, that would be right here, which I've already forgotten which one that is. That's 4. So 4 is how far left it goes, and it does reach it, so it'd be 4. And how far to the right does it go? Well, if we just let it keep going, it would just keep going to the right forever. Now we're going to talk about the range. So how low does it go? You always start with how low it goes, and that would be negative 1. And then how high does it go? Well, that would also be infinity. Okay, let's go on to number 14. What's the domain of the inverse function? Well, that's asking how far left it goes and how far right it goes. So how far left does this go? Well, this goes negative 1. You can see by our list, the farthest left it goes is negative 1, and it does get there. And how far to the right does it go? Well, that would go on forever. And what's the range of this one right here? Well, the range would be how low does it go? It would start right here, the smallest y. How high? Well, it would just keep on going up. So that looks like it keeps curling this way, but it would keep going up, if that helps your mind a little bit. So that would be infinity right there. And now this one just says describe. It doesn't say graph, it just says describe. Can be transformed. Well, there's a whole bunch of little rules here. So the negative right there gives us a rule. Number one, that negative reflects over the x-axis. What does the 2 do? Well, that's a vertical stretch. So that's a vertical stretch factor of 2. This guy right here, minus 3, if you remember in class, we made a rule. That would mean right 3. So right 3, and this is just vertically translated up 1. There's the 4 parts. Okay, almost done. So John's salary increased from $67,300 to $69,725. What was the percent of increase? So again, I'm just going to call this a calculator special. These little problems just kind of jump out of nowhere. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with what we're doing, but so I'm just going to go 69,725, subtract his original salary. So he got an increase of 2,375. The increase would be 2,375 divided by whatever he was initially making. So we got a 0.035 increase, but it doesn't say decimal, it says percent. So we got to move that 2 places, and then we'd get 3.5% increase. Not bad, almost sticks with inflation. Okay? All right, well, now we got some terminology. It says analyze the square root function. It is very helpful if we actually have the graph. So this is actually y equals the square root of x. And if you recall what it looks like, x can't be negative, but it can be 0. So it would start here, and it would look like that. Okay? And it says, what's the domain? Well, how far left does it go? Well, there's my y-axis. It gets to 0. How far right does it go? Infinity. What's the range? Well, how low does it go? Well, it gets, again, if you think of y-axis as a kind of a thermometer, how low does it go? 0, and it gets there. How high does it go? Well, it would take a while, but it also gets up to infinity. Is it continuous? Yes. How come? Because there's no breaks in it. Is it increasing or decreasing? And don't forget, you got to think left to right when you're considering this question. So you're on a roller coaster, you're moving left to right. Are you going up or down? You're going up. Therefore, it is increasing. And that's it.